We're good now. This is embarrassing, guys. Welcome to the Thing in Our Podcast. I am Andrew Glessner.
And I am Wesley Malott.
And we are joined today by James Dean. How's it going, buddy?
Woo! Welcome,
How's it
James.
going, guys? Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, other than weird timing, I kept waiting for like the Thinking Art music to hit, and it didn't. And he's like, "Go," and I'm like, "All right."
It's been so long since we have done one of these, and we do them so infrequently anyway that I don't remember what we're supposed to do or how we're supposed to introduce things. I don't know.
Well, I think we do it so infrequently that having a norm just doesn't even exist.
I mean,
we're like, I'm gonna wait.
That was the goal, though, when we started this. It's like we didn't want to do something that felt like a job. Like when we have someone to talk to, like James or Chris or Chloe and people like that, like we'll bring them on, we'll have some fun. Or like the times where we don't have a guest and we just want to shoot the shit. But yeah, we didn't want to do something that just felt like an obligation. Like
well, if avoiding obligation is our goal, we are crushing it.
Crushed him. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you all for joining us. I see Boom Michael Mowen is in the chat, as well as Buddy Kane. Buddy, how you doing, buddy? We are joined tonight with James Dean. He is a filmmaker, and we will be talking about him producing and distributing his most recent feature film, which is called I'm gonna fuck this name up, Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die.
No, you got it right.
Did I get it right?
Yeah,
nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah. Which is it's a long name.
We could get into that also, as far as how it's problematic to have such a long name and try to deliver art that works for streaming platforms.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That would
Yes.
That is a topic that we will touch on. So let's just go ahead and jump in, James. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your history with filmmaking, what got you into film, and also where you're located for anybody that's watching.
Yeah. So I'm James Dean.
Street address is what we're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I think what got me into movies was just my love of watching movies. I love the magic and the ability to kind of like transport yourself somewhere else. I always wanted to pursue it, but I also came from a background where it was never encouraged. It was always kind of like, that's not a real job and you're not going to make any money doing that.
Very familiar with that.
Right.
I think a time or two. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are. So like the one thing that I think I'm definitely very different from a lot of other filmmakers is that I didn't even touch a camera until I was 35. And so, and I'm 41 now. So like, I've only been, doing this for 6 years. And that's a lot different because a lot of people start when they're young. They grab their dad's, old camcorder or whatever, and they go and start making things. And, I wish I would have, but also I guess that wouldn't have given you what you have today either. So like, I don't know,
Right.
maybe, you know, so yeah, but I have one feature film that's released and we're in pre-production on number 2, not number 2 of the Nunsploitation. We're doing a different movie. So yeah.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about that, but we'll get into that towards
Yeah.
the end of the movie. But going back to what you were saying about like not necessarily people not supporting you, but people looking down upon you for going into filmmaking. That's something Andrew and I have dealt with like growing up. Neither of us really touched a camera. I mean, Andrew actually got into film a little before me in terms of.
Did I?
I went to school for it, but I didn't actually start working in film until I actually graduated. But Andrew started acting a little before while I was still in school. So I didn't really touch a camera until I got out of school and I was like 22. But kind of going, I'm assuming kind of similar to your situation, you had grown up with film, you were a film lover.
Definitely.
So in a way, you had already been studying film basically all your life. So even though like the technical aspects may have been new or foreign to you, there was still like, you knew how to convey emotion through like moving the camera and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so. It is different though when you're on the back end of it and you're trying to construct a story and trying to convey all those feelings. Like I remember early on, you, Wes, were one of the first people that gave me like the absolute best criticism. And I remember the conversation clearly. You're like, "Are you sure you want me to give you criticism here?" And you know, I really just, and like you were nice about it, but you were also firm and you were like, "Listen, there's a lot wrong here." You didn't say it like that, but you know, you like, if someone doesn't tell you what you're doing wrong and you don't see it or you don't know how to fix it, it's like, that's the worst thing in the world. So
absolutely,
you know, so like I value that. And like my respect for you, like just shot straight up. I didn't really know you, but like, as soon as I was like, well, this guy, I can count on this guy to give me real feedback.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's something I think is really important because there are people out there that'll just send you links and all they're looking for is, you know, a good job and a pat on the back,
right?
And people to watch their stuff. But ultimately, like that, if that's what you're in it for, then sure. But you know, I got into this to get better at it, and I want to hear like good, honest feedback from people so I can get better at my craft. And you know, I always kind of ask, like I asked you, it's like, do you want feedback that will help you get better, or you just want a pat on the back? You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that short film in particular, there was no patting on the back for that. I mean, it was,
I don't remember the short film offhand.
It involved a Ouija board and someone getting their intestines ripped out, and then another person being strangled with the intestines. And at the time, I thought they had never been done before, but now I've seen like Ricky O.
Has been done.
Ricky O. Oh, it's been done several times. Yeah. And that just broke my heart that I wasn't original with it. I thought I was, but. Yeah, no,
it's all been done before. Like us,
I was gonna say, man,
treat
about a nickel for every time we did something. We're like, no one's done this, and then we're like, motherfucker.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you bring that up though, because like it all has really been done before, and so like when you realize that and you start looking at like all this, it's kind of like tons of different paint colors and tons of different paint brushes, and like. You can do the same thing someone else did, just use it to tell your story and use it to support the story you're trying to tell.
Right.
And it will have some original, you know, that's also kind of the difference, I think, between like paying homage to like a genre and being derivative of a genre or like a very specific subgenre, you know? Like some people just want to try to recreate it. Like if I try to make an Argento film, dude, come on, I'm going to get it. I'm going to suck at it because one, I'm not Argento, you know, I mean, like,
right.
And two, I don't have all that backing me up. Like I don't have his life experiences and I don't have his artistic eye. I'm a completely different person. But if I want to use the inspiration of his movies and try to make something where I can play with that, you know, that color and those paintbrushes, I can do that. I just can't, you know, it all has to go back. You know, this, it all has to go back to story. You know, you have to kind of support the story.
So talk to us a little bit about how Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die came to fruition?
So we made a short film. And the short film was Maniac Nun on a Mission to Kill Leo Fountaine. Also equally long name. And
Is that available publicly to watch?
Yeah, that's on YouTube. It's on
Okay.
Monster Kid Productions. It's my YouTube page.
I wasn't sure if that had any like legality things with the feature film that you took it offline or anything.
No, I left it up, and it's also we'll have a Blu-ray coming out soon, and it's actually going to be on the Blu-ray as well as an extra
nice.
feature. Yeah. I tried to pack it with as much stuff as we could, but
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah,
I'll
so
drop the link in the comments in case anybody wants to check it out.
awesome. So we made that, and for me, that was the first time I stopped shooting things myself for the most part, and I started having more people help me. And so having a team, I quickly realized, well, I could completely elevate everything I'm doing just by surrounding myself with people that know more than me.
Oh, absolutely.
And then also, like, I grew so much more through that experience because they were also able to teach me things. And like, I don't have to know every little thing. I don't have to know I have to be able to communicate my vision to every department head. That's what I have to be good at. And then I have to be like the arbitrator of like, okay, well, this isn't what I was wanting, or this definitely doesn't pass the test of what we're trying to do here. But I don't have to be the one to actually put all those pieces together and make it work in that regard. Like specifically when it comes to cinematography, I have a DP that's great. I just have to like make sure we're on the same page, and it's no problem with that. But then, all the way on down the line, wardrobe and set dressing and everything, But so the short film, yeah, I noticed a huge step up in everything else I had done. And I was going to originally make just another short film. And then the co-writer, Louis Otero of Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die, he's like, why don't you just make a feature film? And I was like, well, maybe. No, I don't think I'm ready. And I was correct. I wasn't ready. But like,
no one ever is.
Exactly. Yeah. And so through making this, I feel like I've grown more than any other project I've ever done.
Absolutely.
And it's given me tools that I'll be able to use on the next project. So I guess there's so many little caveats to your question of like, why this film, or, what made me, from like a business end perspective, I realized it was a very niche, exploitation, like over the top, gory film. And like genre fans go crazy for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that I'm hoping that I can continue to find a market for that and an audience for it, Also, if I'm just being honest, an exploitation film, anytime something went wrong or looks bad, we did it on purpose. Why not? Like, it gave me like a safety net, like,
Damn it. Yeah.
right. I mean, I'm not lying. I'm going to be honest with you. But we all tried our hardest to do the best job we could. And, it's my first feature film, and it definitely, we were trying to shoot for something that was way more expensive than what we had resources for, And so,
which is kind of the case a lot of times.
Sure.
Try to make your movie look more expensive than it actually was.
Right.
It's like, I want this to look infinitely cheaper.
Right. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We succeeded in that with a couple scenes for sure. But no, I mean, like, I don't know. I had a lot of people that were like cheering for me to like make this film, and
That's great.
The majority of people that were involved with this film had never seen a nunsploitation.
And that's so, I had a lot of fun, like just seeing you post shit and then be like, nunsploitation. What the hell is that? And then I'm like, that's a thing. All right.
It's totally a thing.
I didn't realize nunsploitation is an actual genre of film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, subgenre for sure, but yeah.
Yeah. And like, this wouldn't necessarily fit firmly in that category. I feel like this is like a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. We have, it's also a little bit of like a kung fu movie, and it's also a little bit of blaxploitation at times. And it's just like, everything was on the board. Let's throw a little bit of everything in here. I mean, there is actually a category of Nazi exploitation also.
I was gonna say, I was just about to jokingly say Nazi exploitation too. I was like, look, if it's in there, it's getting exploited. All right.
Yeah.
Exploiting everything.
Yeah. The only thing, so I wanted to exploit pretty much everything possible with this movie, but there were a couple things that we tried not to like push in that realm. And that was like the mental health aspect and the lesbian relationship between the two leads. Well, not in real life, obviously, but you know, the two lead characters. That was something that I tried not to. And like, I can't say a lot of people noticed that, but I did get a couple reviews on Letterboxd, one person in particular who totally noticed it without me ever even, I don't know who this guy is. He writes for one of the online outlets, and he noticed it. And like, it made me so happy to see that like at least one person got that.
Yeah.
You know,
so
like,
he was like giving you a thumbs up for avoiding.
Oh,
okay.
No. Well, it wasn't even so much a thumbs up. It was, it was a positive review for sure, but it was more of him taking notice that we didn't want to like exploit the relationship between the two characters.
Gotcha.
Everything else was on the table, and like so. You guys probably haven't seen a whole lot of nunsploitation. What's very typical with nunsploitation is all the nuns get naked and they all have lesbian sex.
Okay.
And that's very, I mean, that's what a lot of nunsploitation, you know, I mean, there's a lot of religious imagery, and
that's crazy. Which movies? Tell me which movies.
I'll give you a list after we're done if you want.
I mean, I need it. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah.
Where do these movies film at? And how do I get hired?
Right. So, okay, a lot of them were in the 60s and 70s and in Italy. So that might explain. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
By the way, real quick, Boom Mike, Michael Mowen says, "Hey, James, congrats on the release."
Well, thank you. And thank you for your help, Michael.
Yeah, I believe
he did our dialogue.
Mike was the dialogue mixer or editor on the film. Nice. That's awesome.
He helped out quite a bit. Like, I knew there were two things I wasn't going to touch on this film, and that was the visual effects, which I ended up doing like 3 or 4 shots, but in the bigger scheme of things, that's nothing. And then I knew I did not want to touch the audio because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it and like present the movie in the way I wanted to.
Right.
So I definitely outsourced that. So he did a great job.
Cannot go wrong with Mike in any realm of sound, whether it be production, audio, or post sound. So jumping back to the movie, and you said your co-writer really pushed for you to make this into a feature?
Yeah, he mentioned it. Lewis, he mentioned it, and I think because he realized how much, like, we spent like $4,000 on the short film.
Okay.
Or when I say I spent $4,000 on the short film. I think we shot for like 4 days on it, and it's like 16 minutes, you know, the one that's on YouTube. And you know, he's like, if you're gonna spend that much money, just spend a little more and maybe make a feature. And and so then we started talking about it, and then like it just kind of started to, we were like, let's go for it. So together we wrote a feature film, and I foolishly thought, hey, this is only gonna take like maybe 14 days to shoot or 16 days to shoot. Like, and then that's when I learned how much practical effects slows everything down.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So how many days did you end up shooting?
29.
29?
Yeah.
Damn.
Only 29. Twice as many as you expected. Not bad, honestly.
Yeah. So 29, and then it was over 9 months, which would have been 6 months, but still that's way too long.
COVID shut you down for a little bit?
For like 3 months. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. I remember talking to you, Wes, when we first started, and I was thinking about this earlier. And I told you, I was like, yeah, we're gonna shoot 1 day a week for like 3 months, you know, and you're like, don't do it. Don't do it. You're like, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Yeah. And I think you were right then, and you're right now.
James, our first movie we made, we shot it on the weekends, and it took us a little over a year.
Right.
Oh yeah.
To finish everything. And it was
I think he told me that. So the plan with the next one is, again, maybe I'm being stupid, but 16 to 18 shoot days, but we're going to do 2 days a week, and we're going to bust it out, you know. And I know, you're smiling.
2 days a week busting it out.
Well, you have to understand though, also
8
like
weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know how the I guess like the film community is out where you guys are, and I know you own a business. So, you know, a lot of the people that you probably work with have day jobs, and you have to factor that into your decisions on scheduling and casting and crewing. And so, you know, all that stuff becomes,
it's a nightmare.
It becomes super challenging. So, you know, I understand. We're kind of in a similar position. Well, not really in a similar position, but we've been in a similar position for all of our short films,
right?
Where most of the people doing it are working 9 to 5s throughout the week, so that gives us weekends to shoot. But if we go down the route of shooting a feature, I've made it abundantly clear to everybody I want to do it the right way and do it, like 5 days on, 2 days off,
Right.
deal.
I
Because go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think I know if I had more money
Oh,
backing me,
absolutely. Yeah.
that would obviously be the way to go. I mean, there's no, 5 and 2 would be I mean, yeah.
The big thing, like I keep going back to, because I've had this conversation with a lot of people recently, is like, I've been working on a World War II feature that was supposed to be shot basically in September and being done. But the producer got sick and landed in the hospital. And whenever they tried rescheduling, just everybody's schedules were a nightmare, and they just couldn't get the thing actually just physically done before winter came and changed all the trees and everything.
Yeah.
So we're still not done shooting the movie. But what I keep bringing up is like, when you do these 2-day shoots, like it just really kills your momentum, because like for me, in the group I work with personally, I always find that first shooting day to be the slowest, because you're trying to get in that rhythm and things just aren't quite clicking. Whether it's like just problems coming up with like lighting, problem solving, random things, just it just takes a day from everybody to just start clicking. But then by like day 2, everything's clicking and you start moving and everything runs smoother. But when you're just constantly like stopping after 1 day or 2 days, you're just falling right back into that cycle where that first day again is just like you're just running a little bit behind and everything gets kind of pushed a little bit behind.
I definitely feel that. I feel like it's especially true the first 3 hours of each day, though. Like I definitely feel
3 hours of each day.
The first 3 hours of every day, it's like, oh, we were supposed to be ready at 10, but we'll be ready at 11:30. It's like then 12 o'clock comes around. It's like, okay, we're ready. It's like, we're 2 hours behind. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that doesn't, that doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you made the short film, you decided to make the feature as, a slightly higher budget. How did you go about funding the feature?
Right. So I sold everything I owned pretty much. And I also worked and saved for probably like 3 years roughly. But here's my justification behind it, right? So I spent $35,000 on it, and that's all my money. And then
that was the budget for the movie.
Yeah, 35,000. And then I mean, like, honestly, like the majority of people, pretty much everyone was completely voluntary, like everyone. So like my DP alone, his day rate minimum was $500 a day. And I mean, that's not something we discussed. That's just me knowing like what he brought to the table as far as gear and everything.
Right.
And I mean, realistically, it should probably been more than that, but so times that by 29 shoot days. And I mean, like right there, you can see that the budget wasn't 35,000. That's just what I spent on it. But, getting access to some of the things that we needed and doing the things that we were going to do, I just knew that. Yeah. So I sold 2 vehicles. I sold, I sold 40 of my old Nintendo games that some of them were very rare. I mean, I sold all kinds of equipment. I shut down a business and I sold all my equipment.
Yeah.
I shot weddings for 2.5, 3 years, and all that went right to it. So yeah, it was just, I mean, but so my justification was, like if you go to film school, depending on the film school, you're probably going to spend $20,000 to $40,000, and you probably won't come out of it with a feature film.
Mike, how much did film school cost you?
Wait for this fun answer.
What do you think, Mike?
About 85.
He wishes it was 20 or 40,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right. But so there you go. So like,
you're right. Yeah, that's
solid
Absolutely.
reasoning, honestly.
And I'm definitely much more of a person that I would learn. I think a lot of people are this way, but I know I'm definitely this way. Like doing something, getting my hands dirty. I learn better that way. Even on set, like so many people wanted me to be like in another room, like by a monitor. And I'm like, I'll be by a monitor, but I don't want to be in another room, because if I want to make a correction or if something just doesn't working, I want to be close to that space. I don't know. I just feel closer to everything and I feel more attached to it. And it's too many damn steps for me to walk from one room to another. I'd rather just be right there, you know? I mean, like,
right.
you know, I don't, that's just my personal approach to it though, you know?
Mike says film school cost him $85,000.
See, Mike, we could have made 3 nunsploitation films.
I think my favorite thing that was his first answer was just,
Yeah.
It's like 35. That's fucking cute.
So I'm just curious because I know like whenever Andrew and I made our first feature, because that was basically Andrew self-funded our entire feature basically.
Which is why there was no money in it.
Was there any point where you were just like, what am I doing?
I mean, okay, so just like the shoot days blew up. Also, the budget wasn't originally going to be that much. But you know, I mean, if I told you what I thought the original budget was going to be, I mean, I thought in my head 12 to 14,000. So
it's impressive for a feature.
Yeah. So, but it didn't end up being that, obviously.
Yeah.
So did I? I don't know. Like I had to make sure up front that I knew I wasn't going to make that money back. You know.
I think that's a very important thing. Like especially if you're like self-financing a feature, you got to realize that it's a risk, it's a gamble, but it's a risk and a gamble you have to be willing to take.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also like, if you're not, I mean, like, again, it's whatever, but if you're not willing to invest in yourself, like how, I mean, like personally,
Absolutely.
like how am I going to approach someone else? Like I'm going to self-fund the next one, and it's going to be for much less money. Also, it's going to be for less money, definitely, but it's also not quite the spectacle that this last one was. It's more story. There's more storytelling and more dialogue, and it's more, you know, more character driven. But you know, the project after that, I do seriously think we're going to bring outside funding along with probably like an Indiegogo or some sort of crowd, you know, funding campaign. And I think all of that together will, and the goal is hopefully then we'll be able to pay people something. You know, it's just like you're asking for so much from so many people in so many different regards. And at one point or another, you kind of have to stop asking for favors and start just paying.
Yeah, we've tapped out the favor jar, if you will.
Yeah
On short films. So
yeah it's tough.
It really is. And a lot of people don't realize when your budget is so small, like people think like, oh, you have $35,000, why aren't you paying people? Well, when you talk about paying 20 people for how many shoot days did you end up doing again?
Almost 30.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So say you go what standard minimum right now, which is what, $100 a day.
Yeah.
20 people. There's $2,000 a day.
Yeah.
30 days. That's $60. You're already 25,000 over budget.
$60?
60,000.
I think you said $60.
I said 60,000. Get the fuck out of here. I might have said 60K. I don't know words.
I think you said $60.
I think you said $60, you piece of shit.
Whoa. Pump the brakes, kid.
Math. The math. It checks out. Yeah, it's but yeah, I mean, you got to figure out ways to do that. And that's the thing too, is like, as a filmmaker, it's never fun to look at someone and go, hey man, I really need your help to make this movie. Also, I can't pay you shit, but I really, really, really want you to be involved.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did. And I mean, like, I had so many people that helped, and I mean, like, yeah, and it's also really hard if you ask someone for their help, and then especially if they're not quite doing the role they were designed to do, or like that was brought up. When you're not paying them, it's like, how can I ask for more when I'm not paying you anything? You know, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I do feel like also though, through that last feature, and then we shot a short film like in December that I still have yet to edit, but like I've been building and like trying to kind of cultivate this team and trying to continue to like build this team. And some people probably won't work as well as, you know, with us as others will. So like, I feel like every time I do a project, we pick up more people and we figure out who's a better fit for us. And so, the next feature, the goal is that it's going to go much smoother,
Yeah. Well, and that in making films, we've discovered that has been the most crucial part along the way, is finding these people that we work amazing with, and these people who like what we're doing, and the people who have the same passion we do, and the people who are always like, hey, we want to help you do this. You build that army within yourself, and that's nothing's gonna be better than that.
Yeah. I think I was I was interviewed by Josh Stifter. He's made a few feature films. He's an indie filmmaker, and he told me, he's like, it doesn't get any easier, just so you know.
No, it really doesn't.
I was like, stop, just stop. I don't expect it to get easier. I hope it just becomes simpler, I think.
You'll get more comfortable with
easier
difficulty.
Or simpler. You're wizened.
Yeah.
You have more experience, so you can more comfortably solve the problems.
Right. I think I need the anxiety, and I think I need the anxiety to lower quite a bit on my end.
It doesn't for me. It's pumping every time.
I do feel like from the feature film to even the short film we did, my stress level, my anxiety was way down. Like I just felt so much more comfortable on set, and I felt like it, again, going to another feature, it may go up a little bit, but I feel like I'm more comfortable in that role. And I feel like, well, I've already done this before. I've already been in this role, and people liked working with me enough to that I'm going to have a lot of people come back that were of all different types, actors and crew. And so I'm doing something right, and also another thing, and I'm not dogging on St. Louis, but another thing that is not that uncommon in St. Louis is that people start a lot of projects and they never finish them. And like, I think that says so much, like you're saying so much to so many people, including yourself, if you can't finish a project.
That's one thing that like really bothers me. And especially whenever I've been involved with projects where, we've worked for like 5 days and the project has never came out. And I think that is so disrespectful to your cast and crew, especially whenever you're not paying them, that you can't even, see this project that so many people put their time and hard work into, and you can't see it through like that. That has always bothered me.
My good friend, and well, he first was my fight choreographer, and he also was an actor in one of the movies, but he's become my good friend now. Like we're like family, and he said over like the last 10 years in St. Louis, he's done so many films. And he said, I'm pretty sure out of feature films, my film is the only film that actually was released as far as like a feature film. And like I think he said like 50% of the short films he worked on never saw the light of day. Like that's just like, that would break me down. I don't know if I could keep, so like, I feel like I owe it to everyone, even if it's not what we thought it was going to be, or even if it doesn't quite attain that level that, that your goal was, release it, let it live its life and do its thing and move on to the next project,
Well, yeah, you saying that, I mean, when we made this year's Short Scares, we did Trick or Treat, we kind of didn't realize that we'd unintentionally made a movie that's already like pretty similar to some stuff that's already out there. And Wes and I had like a real kind of serious watershed moment with each other to like, do we release this? Like we had concerns, and we're like, at the end of the day, like we all worked hard on it. We all, these people put their time, their effort into it. It's not worth it to not release it. Just deal with, come whatever may, but put it out there.
Yeah. Plus, I just kept going back to like the Armageddon Deep Impact thing. It's like, they're just, they're similar, but so you sold your stuff, you saved the money, you decided you were going to make this feature film.
Oh, I also cashed in retirement. That was the last thing I did. Sorry.
Okay. 401k.
Oh yeah.
You and me both, buddy. That was
Yep. Yeah. I knew it was a big chunk of money that wasn't accounted for there. I was like, wait a minute. Oh,
that might be on my agenda. We'll see. So how did you go about casting and crewing and everything? Was it all people that you worked with before?
Definitely not. So
No?
okay, so my main goal back, I guess I was actually 34 when I first, so like 7 years ago when I first picked up a camera. My goal was I wanted to start learning how to use the camera because I knew that even if I didn't shoot my own stuff, I would get better at all the concepts that go with that, obviously.
Absolutely.
And so I also wanted to learn and not pay someone to teach me. I wanted to learn while I was getting paid to do it. So I started shooting weddings. And not only did I learn cinematography, but I also met 5-6 different people that ended up helping out with the project. And that's kind of how it started. I had a grip and my AD and my DP and guy did my set dressing, like quite a few people that I just met through that also wanted to do work in film, and they ended up helping, and now they're friends. And some of the people that were, some of the people I had worked with before as far as the cast, but we did a pretty massive casting call. I think we had like 40 people show up the first time.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, like we had a lot of small parts, like day roles,
Mhm.
I did have a few friends that kind of were part of it. The lead, Mallory Stern, who plays Mary,
Mhm.
she's someone I played Dungeons and Dragons with,
Oh, really? Okay.
and honestly, this feature film would not be here today if she wouldn't have came up to me like 3 years ago. We brought up this whole idea of a nun with a katana and an eye patch, and then it kind of just dropped off because I guess I just kind of I didn't lose interest for the short film, but like I lost momentum, and I felt like, how the self-doubt started to settle in. Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to shoot this? How are we going to cut someone's head off? Just seemed like so much to take on at the time. And she came up to me when we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. She's like, "So is this nun thing going to happen or what?" And I was like,
was the
yeah.
kick you needed.
I was like, yeah, it is going to happen.
Well, Mallory, go ahead and roll for initiative.
Yeah, right. So, like that definitely got the ball rolling, and yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, we worked with a lot of new people, and I kind of think I like the mixture of working with people that I'm already familiar with, but I also like working with new people because it kind of, I think, keeps things interesting, new, and I'll also learn different people, like how to, like every actor is so different to direct.
Yep.
And some don't require a lot of direction, especially so one thing I really tried to do is I tried to talk about the characters well before we were ever on set. I tried to like really get them in the space and let them understand where I wanted them to be coming from. And then I love collaboration. So like any thoughts they had on the character, I wanted to hear it. They read the script, they have their own thoughts, and maybe like, I feel like when you're writing something and when you're directing it, you're looking at everything from such a huge overview. And you try to concentrate on the characters, but when you have someone that's embodying a character, they just look at it different. When they're going to be that character, their perspective is so different. So them coming in and giving you that feedback, it's very vital. And then you can kind of make something new out of it, maybe,
Real quick, Megapodtastic Joe is in the house. How you doing, Joe? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in tonight. So I guess let's jump into the actual film. There is a lot of violence, great violence in the movie.
Thank you.
How involved were you in like pre-production with how you were going to pull these things off? Because there were some really incredible deaths in the movie where I was like, oh, I wonder how he did that.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of it, I was pretty integral to a lot of it, I love getting my hands dirty, especially on fake blood, and like any practical effects. I absolutely love that. So you start digging into that and you're going to get my attention right away. So much so there were times where I wanted to be the one operating the blood, and they're like, okay, you're not the one doing that. Go watch your monitor and go give notes. I'm like, you're right, but maybe this one time. But no, so yeah, a lot of times, and if at the very least I had to understand how it was going to work, because we have to figure out where we're placing camera and what walls I'm going to clean afterwards, and
yeah.
So a lot of it we had to, and sometimes like I didn't know how it was going to work. Like I understood how the effect was going to work, but I didn't know how we were going to capture it without it like looking bad. So I, like That's one thing that I think a lot of people don't get. Like, a director doesn't have to have all the answers, but if you don't have the answer, you really need to just say, I don't have the answer to that. Give me 5 minutes. And then you consult the people that should hopefully be able to contribute something you'll be able to make a selection of what you think the best answer is and go from there.
Absolutely.
But with good pre-production, hopefully that stuff is already solved way before you ever get on set.
Yep. Pre-production is so important. So how vital of a role was pre-production with all of that stuff?
Oh, it was, I mean, like, well, it wouldn't have happened, without, I mean, pre-production was everything. I think it should be, pre-production is it's like, you hear an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? A lot of people talk about that when it comes to like medicine. That's the same thing with pre-production. Like, if you don't do your due diligence, you're just fucking yourself right out the gate. I mean, like, especially with an indie film with no budget and with people that, I mean, yeah, you have to put, and however much work you think it's going to take 3 times that probably.
Yeah.
And just, I would rather show up to set and be so over prepared and maybe even go a different direction. At least I have what we prepared for on paper and I can always go back to that,
Yep.
And sometimes things on set just like present themselves and it's just better. Like, oh, that's way better than what we talked about for 10 hours.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Sometimes you just, in that moment, you're like, oh shit, what if we do this?
Yeah.
I extensively storyboard and shot list everything that we do, but there are moments on set where, like, for our short film Stalked and actually Trick or Treat too, those were the short films where I've actually worked with a DP, Adam Rebar, where he was like, what if we did this with the camera? And he shows it to me and I'm like, I think that actually works better.
Yeah.
So it's important that you find people that you work well with like that, and you can also trust.
And having that shorthand with someone also is just amazing. But yeah, I agree. I love collaboration, man. Like, I'm not going to have the best answers all the time. I'm not going to have the best answers half the time, So like bringing really talented people around me that can like help me with that. That's so vital. Yeah.
Agreed.
Sorry, taking a drink here. I muted my microphone.
Drink dead air.
I'm taking a drink too.
Everybody just take a drink. I'll take a second. I'll fill some time. Just,
all right.
So going back to makeup and like the creative deaths, what was the one hardest one to pull off in the movie?
I know I can answer which one I was the most excited about, and that was the chainsaw one.
Okay.
Yes.
That was the one I was actually,
that was amazing.
You asked that question. I was like, that seemed like it might have been.
Yeah. And also, like, it was also like there was so much work put into that, like just building that. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away the death per se, but like everything downstairs was built to look halfway decent. Let's put it that way. All the way to like fake hair being added, so like she put a lot of time into the design of that, definitely. Yeah. So that was the one that was probably I think it was also the hardest one to pull off also, just because of like the framing and it just all the cuts and everything. We had to really think about it and make sure we could put it together in a way that it would work. But I'm trying to think of, I think that was the hardest one to do offhand. Yeah. Chainsaw.
How big of a role did visual effects play into your practical kills, if any? Yeah,
I mean, I wanted to do, 90% practical effects, and I think it probably ended up around 75%, 80%. But there were tons of moments, there's gunfire. Obviously, we weren't shooting blanks on set. We didn't have the resources to do that. So it was just, the visual effects. There's a sword throw that takes place. We didn't really kill that actor. So, like there was a lot of cleanup also different times that helped out. And sometimes like there were a few times where we thought we knew how we were doing it. And then we found out because I used someone different in post for visual effects than who I initially had intended. And that person had to put in a lot of work to clean things up, there's one kill in particular that we thought we just had all the answers on set. And I even had like a visual effects supervisor, someone that has done a lot of work in that realm. And, I explained to him what I thought would work, and we attempted it, and it kind of worked. The claw hammer of the end of the hammer into the head. That one definitely was something that required a lot of visual effects work. And the piece, we used a watermelon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the thing that we didn't think about was, like you need plates and you need all these other, you need all this stuff. And the chunks of the watermelon made a big mess, and those chunks flew everywhere. And apparently my VFX guy had to clean a lot of that up. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, something...
Your entire lighting scheme just went off, Wes.
Lost all the mood lighting. Oh, there it is. It's back. Looking fabulous.
No idea what was going on with that. It was just blinking at me.
So concerning.
Yeah, so did you do much pre-production in terms of visual effects, or was that something that came afterwards? Just cleaning stuff up?
If I didn't know the concept of what we were doing, we weren't doing it. If I couldn't either do a rough draft of it myself and then know that someone with much more talent and time and effort could do it better, I just wouldn't do it. And there were a couple times where I wasn't 100% sure, but that's why I had my VFX supervisor on set, and it never hurts to have a second person there so that they can think about the shot and add something else different to it. So yeah, I mean, like that was a benefit of shooting only once a week. It was probably the only benefit was that I could spend 5 days a week prepping for that one day. And so we did, every week I had a meeting with my DP to discuss all the shots we were going to do and what may work and what may not work. And then he would add his own, like we'd go in and we'd redo the entire thing. I would have a shot list and storyboards, and then he would give me his opinion, and then we'd decide what we wanted to do that day, So that was nice. But there was tons of pre-production that occurred, definitely.
I think this light kicked the bucket.
Gotta use a little bit of pre-pro on your lighting there, dickhead.
I think it's
super
plugged in. I think the
professional.
light's just actually dying.
What kind of light is that, Wes?
Oh, it's not plugged in. That's why I'm a dipshit.
How many
Battery
features have
dying
you
on
made,
you?
Wes, and you can't even operate a light?
So James, while he's on with that dumb shit, as you worked through the production of your movie, as you went into post-production, what did you think was the hardest thing for you to accomplish there?
Honestly, the longevity of it, and like I felt like I hit a wall at one point because I was working nonstop on it, and when you're by yourself, you can't feed off of other people's energy. And like, the first rough cut of it was 4.5 months, and then I showed it to the people that were
say 4.5 hours. I was
no. Like it took me probably 4 months.
You just made The Godfather.
No. Probably like 4 months for a rough cut, and then I put that together and I showed it to like the main people, and then that also kind of re-energized everybody, seeing that something was coming together after 4 months.
I don't know what the fuck's going on with this light. Sorry.
Can we mute Wes, Andrew? I'm just kidding.
Love to. We can just kick him right the fuck out because you and I are trying to have a conversation. Somebody's trying to play with this light.
I'm gonna mute myself.
I think the hardest part, honestly, of post was like just getting over that hump of like, I spent 4 months and then I realized I wasn't quite where it needed to be, and I had to spend a couple more months, and then I had people in line to deliver certain parts of post-production that didn't quite come through in the way that was planned. And so I had to like pivot, and I had to find someone new, or I had to find other people to help. Like in some cases, I thought I was going to have one person do something, but it turned into 2 or 3, or 4, with the visual effects. I ended up doing a couple of them myself even. And I was okay with that. I just knew that I didn't have the longevity to push through that as well. So I think that was the biggest concern for me, or the hardest part, was just keeping my shit together mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
because I edited it, I did a few, visual effect shots, and I also started to build out like a little bit of sound design. And it wasn't that I ever anticipated that being the final version. I just wanted to be able to, that was the only way I knew how to communicate what I was looking for to the person that was going to do the Foley for me. And so that gave him a starting point to jump off of, Of course, he was way more talented and had and he had a Foley, studio for all this stuff he could do it in also. So, but
studios are important,
Yeah, it's helpful. Yeah.
So let's dive into distribution, because that's another topic that we're supposed to talk about. How did you go about distributing your movie?
Right. So I actually had 3 different companies approach me, but I kind of felt like it was all very similar. 4 companies approached me, but I kind of felt like it was all the same thing. People that were wanting to take something that I put all my time and money and effort into and, offering a split. And they're not going to market it. They're not going to, there's, So what I did is I went through Film Hub. They're an aggregator. They take 20%. And they give you, they do have quality control checks from very early on. So your artwork has to meet certain guidelines, and and they do this because they work with so many different online outlets, and so we went through Film Hub. So far it's been, it's still, all the marketing is still on me, and finding people to review it and talking to, I could hire a PR firm, but I've kind of spent all the money there was. And I think it's a tricky topic to cover. Like the truth is that you need a lot of views to make any money with online streaming. Yep. Even the best ones don't pay anything, so from a distribution or like trying to make any profit or just trying to bring any money back, the best way for an indie filmmaker to make money, at least that I'm seeing, is through Blu-ray. And again, that's also a very niche thing, because not everyone wants to buy Blu-rays and not everyone watches Blu-rays. But the people that like these kind of movies, they go crazy over Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Physical media. There's something to it, and they're also typically, 35 plus males, like if we're getting into the business end of it. Any of my advertising I've ran, I've found that males 35 to 60 are the target audience of who actually, they're the ones that are interested in this kind of genre or this particular movie, So yeah, so I used Film Hub. They have it on Amazon Prime, Tubi, which is probably the most friendly to indie filmmakers at this point, as far as like what you're going to get back as far as any kind of money. And it's also, it's nice that Tubi gives access to people that don't want to pay for it. So there's no like hurdle for people to jump over to get to see your movie. It's free. Yeah. You just have to watch commercials.
I literally had to download it. I didn't have to log in. I just, last night I downloaded it and I searched for a movie.
Yeah.
I purchased it on Amazon Prime, just saying.
Thank you. Yeah. There's
upstate, you piece of shit.
Wow.
Wes was probably the second person to purchase it on Amazon Prime behind my DP.
Yeah. What a solid number 2 he is, because I cannot be a piece of shit.
Start to finish.
Buy a Blu-ray.
Start to finish tonight with you, Wes. My goodness.
Yeah. But I still wouldn't be able to tell you the name.
On the topic of distribution, so far I like Film Hub. They are definitely more of a tech company, and so it's a little.
So for anybody that doesn't know Film Hub, can you just give them a little bit of background of like what they are and your kind of like your process with working with them?
Yeah. So you go to their website, you start to submit what you made, and they will accept, I'm pretty sure, anything over 20 minutes in length. And they are going to make you go through, and they have very strict criteria. You have to put up certain things. You have to have captions. You have to have the artwork has to pass their quality control. And I think if anything was frustrating with them, that would be it. Is that they give you so many times of the free QC, and then if you don't pass, then you have to start paying them to submit.
Okay.
And they don't tell you what's wrong right out the gate. You have to. Yeah. it's very much a tech company, but I think it's also very much moving in a good direction where they're getting better at it. It's just taking them a little bit of time. The other thing, so I didn't really answer your question. So you submit your work, and then they package it with hundreds of other movies, and they just like put it out there, and it's like a buffet. And these streaming services, they decide if they want it or not. You know, you can exclude certain ones if you want to, but I think especially for an indie filmmaker, the more streaming services on, the better. You know?
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
And like, and you know, it's like tiered in a certain way. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to play out, but like Amazon Prime, it's going to be for rent for a while, but then to my understanding, it'll drop from being for rent, and then it'll just go to their Prime for free. Okay. You know, just like anything. And you can actually select, and they make recommendations. Hey, you know, this is an indie film, or hey, this is a major studio release with a name actor, you know, and they'll price it out that way. You know,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, but you know, we didn't have any names, and we're not a major studio, so you know, like we're an indie film. That's what I checked. I wasn't trying to be delusional just because I put all this effort and money into it. The average viewer doesn't care, you know.
Right.
So there's a lot of pluses to it in that regard. One thing that an indie filmmaker would have to consider is they don't give you a firm release date. So
interesting. Okay.
There's no pre-marketing that can take place for the most part. You know, they give you, you know, it's kind of a windowed approach where they say it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks once they approve you for someone to pick it up, you know. And when I say someone, I'm talking about a streaming service that you've ever heard of. Because there were 2 services that picked it up like right away, and you can't even. It's so difficult to find it, and you have to do it on a PC. It's not. It was released like several weeks before I ever even mentioned it online, because like I wasn't going to put any effort into saying it was released, because what's the point? No one's going to find it. Everyone's going to be messaging me asking me how they can watch it. I don't want to deal with that.
It's like our feature film binge is on. I don't even know what it is. A Real House or something like that.
Right.
Does that sound right?
Is it?
I'm not. Andrew doesn't know.
Yeah,
that's not surprising. I don't know much.
So the marketing approach has to shift to everything after, you know. And so like for marketing purposes, I cut like 10 different pieces of like 15 to 30-second little promos, you know. And I haven't even released them all yet. I've been so busy doing everything. I feel like it's wild trying to do everything all over the place at once. Like it's you have so many things you have to accomplish, and there's only 24 hours in a day. But yeah, so you start marketing it on the back end as opposed to beforehand. But I think that's the way a lot of, especially for indie filmmakers, I think there's going to be such a huge division. It already is. You're going to have, you know, $1 million budgets and less releases, and you're going to have $200 million films and more, you know, which are like Marvel, Disney, you know, and there's not going to be a whole lot in the middle, because there's the market's just, it's becoming less and less a thing.
And I think those like middle movies are going to be the ones that just go directly to streaming, because it's going to be so hard for them to make their money back in the theaters. Like you see it right now. It's like movies will gross like 20 million and that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to find those like $55 million openings anymore, which was like kind of like the average back before the pandemic.
Yeah, I think it's really changed things. But I think it just accelerated things. I think it was already headed that way.
Absolutely.
I just think it made it go quicker that way. Yeah.
And now we'll see the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Pretty much just dominating theaters for who knows
Spider-Man.
how long.
Well, I guess Spider-Man's kind of a Marvel movie now.
That's right.
So with Film Hub, do they pay you like monthly, quarterly? Are they the ones paying you?
Yeah. So they just changed it. There used to be a wait of like 6 months. So like, yeah, right. But they just changed it, so they pay as soon as they're paid.
Okay.
In theory, I haven't received any money yet, but in theory, it's once a month, and I think they're 30 days behind now instead of like 6 months. Because even when they were 6 months behind, if the streaming service didn't pay them for 90 days, which some streaming services did that, you were looking at 9 months. So whatever my movie made in January, I didn't get paid on until September,
Wow. Yeah.
But they just changed that at the beginning of the year, which was kind of perfect timing for me. So, yeah.
So is there, I know you said, I forget exactly how you phrased it, but you felt like Film Hub was the better option between all the avenues. Is there a reason that you didn't, submit to, or I guess like take a more traditional approach and submit to film festivals and try to find like a sales agent?
I mean, so I feel like maybe 95% of putting something in a film festival, and I'm probably wrong, but I feel like a lot of it is just like going around a room letting people jerk you off. Like it's all self-congratulatory, like you're
not wrong.
I mean, like
but I'll take it.
Nice. It's not bad.
It feels nice.
I'm like, well, here's the thing: I can jerk myself off. I don't need a bunch of other people doing it. Andrew's giving me a look.
But
if they're gonna,
sure. No, like I don't know. I just felt like, and also like going that route also pushed it off like any release so much longer. Like it would have pushed off another year probably, and I didn't. I wanted to see that return right away, or I wanted to see like it being completed and out into the world sooner, And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. My opinion on that may change. I have heard a couple thoughts on it that made me kind of rethink it. Like watching your movie in front of a live audience will give you a perspective you've never would have seen otherwise, especially if it's an audience that isn't part of the cast and crew, and I did have that experience because we did have a premiere at a drive-in, but I wasn't sitting among people because a lot of people were in their cars, but I still heard people cheer when things occurred, and I still heard people laugh at moments, so I did get that a little bit, and I do get that like having a test screening if you had to pay for a test screening as opposed to just putting it in a festival and having that feedback right away would be kind of nice. So I don't know. I think my reasoning was I didn't want to wait. Honestly, I just wanted to get it out there.
I mean, that's a good reason. I mean, you're the one that funded it. You're the one that put all the hard work into it. So if like you want to see the fruits of your labor out there in the world now, then that's your decision.
Yeah. I do think I'm probably oversimplifying it a bit when I say, but I don't know. I wasn't. And also like, I feel like a lot of this right now, especially the last year, a lot of it just turned into online streaming anyway. So, like, I don't know. Yeah. I just thought I'd just go for it. Yeah.
So I guess, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from producing and distributing your first feature film?
You're always going to need more help than you anticipate. Definitely. And having the right people in the right roles is huge. That's more on like the beginning part. The distribution, I'm still learning, I think one thing that I think has helped me a lot is that I've tried to make genuine connections with people and not just try to use them to like share my work, and like I've been having,
I think that's important.
Yeah. I think it's huge.
That's when you're doing that too, just to like try to get your shit out there. People can normally see through that too, and it's not good.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I've been on Twitter for 5 or 6 years now, and like all I talk about usually is movies and stupid dad jokes, and like like I love movies, and I love genre movies. So a lot of the people I talk to, I do sometimes bring up that I made a movie. Why wouldn't I? I'm not going to not promote myself, but at the same time, I'm not going to shove it down everyone's throat. Not every person I talk to on Twitter has watched my movie, and I'm not upset. I'm not upset about it, and I'm not constantly going to be like, hey, check this out. But at the same time, if it comes up in conversation, I'm of course going to post about it, or and I probably could do a better job of that. But I think making genuine connections goes a long way. I helped someone out with their YouTube page a little bit and just told them, hey, he could do a little bit more with lighting, or if you did this a little different, it would look a lot better.
Mhm.
And this guy has like 12,000 followers on Twitter, and he regularly gets 200-300, likes per post. And he watched my movie. I didn't even tell him. I didn't reach out to him directly,
Mhm.
and he reached out to me. He's like, man, and he's a pretty harsh critic of Kung Fu films. He's a Kung Fu guy. And
Yeah.
he's like, I fucking loved your movie. And I showed it to someone and they had no idea what they were about to watch. And he's like, I loved it. And I was like, man, you just made my night. And he's like, by the way, next week I'm going to make a post about it. That's perfect. I appreciate it. I need
awesome.
I need all the traction I can give.
Genuine connections.
Yeah. Yeah. And also making connections with people that also make genuine connections doesn't hurt. Like not just, like I had other collaborators who also have a lot of friends that I don't have online or talk to online. And we don't talk to the same group of people. And they're also very genuine individuals. They're not fake, so like it just opens up a bigger circle, and more people talk about it and more people share it. And I think that helps. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, ideally, what I would like to see is I would like to see more outlets doing reviews of the movie. And that's something that I'm going to continue to reach out to and continue to push for.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the areas where you really just have to whore yourself out.
It is. No, yeah. And now in that regard, it's a little different though, because for the most part, I don't know these people,
Yep.
And so like I'm just like reaching out via email, or maybe like I think the approach is email is the first step. And then if they're public and they have messages open on Twitter, I'll message them once and be like, hey, I made a movie. I know you do reviews. I know this is a kind of movie that you've reviewed in the past, something similar to this. But I'm not going to badger anyone,
Right.
And of course, it always helps if you have that relationship first with them, or if you've ever had a conversation with them, period. If I follow them today and then all of a sudden just message them, be like, watch my movie.
You're right.
How many times do people do that shit all the time, and no one really wants to. I had someone after I released this movie that messaged me on Facebook Messenger their entire script on Facebook Messenger. And I'm like, and then I found out.
Did you read it?
No, I didn't. I mean, I read like the first message trying to figure out. I tried to figure. I was like, is this a script? I was like, and then he kept messaging me. I was like, this is just going to keep going. I was like, what is going on here?
I can't imagine actually trying to read a script through Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
It just pisses me off thinking about it.
Well, the good thing is you can use emoticons for like staging notes.
I feel bad sending a Zoom invitation. It's like
because it's a bit obnoxious,
so long.
Honestly. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
man.
that Zoom invitation Sam sent. I was like, where the hell is the meeting at?
Dude, we had a guy.
It's the very first thing at the top, but
And it's the last thing too.
Yeah.
What was
There's
it?
a million phone numbers in between.
Like 2 years ago, James, we had a guy email us this short script that he wanted to sell to us. Now, this gentleman, he definitely wasn't from America. I don't know where he was from. Reading the script, that was obvious. And this was the most glorious train wreck of a script I have ever read in my life. And the only reason I even read it, so it was like 10 pages. But as I first started, like the first page, I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
In how bad it is. And I just kept reading it. And I was talking to Wes. I was like, you got to read it. You got to read it. I was like, it's so fantastic. And I was like, let's make him an offer. And I was like, because my idea was like, it was written so insane that I was like, no, we'll buy it and we'll shoot it verbatim.
Oh,
exactly how it's written. Like because it would be insanity. And so we made an offer and I was like, all right, man. And in my head, I was like, I would give this guy like maybe like $100, $150 for it. But I was like, I'm gonna lowball him. I was like, I'll give you $50 for this script. And he was like, actually, man, I'm looking for more like $18,000. I'm like, I was like, what? Have you read this? And man, if there's one regret I have, I really wish I had the $18,000 just to be like, all right, man. Yeah, let's do it.
One of my favorite lines in it was like, guy is attracted to girl. They kiss. They make sex.
That's damn near exact.
I'm taking notes here.
Oh man, just poetry is what it was. All right, I think we'll start wrapping up here. Real quick, James.
Yes.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Whatever Wesley was going to do is, if you've watched the podcast, one of the things I like to tell people is always be scooching. Just scooch your heart out. James, what is your scooch?
What my first question is what is a scooch?
What do you want a scooch to be?
I don't know. So are you asking me to promote myself? Is that what you're are you
Sure.
asking me to start touching
Hey, man,
myself? I don't know what you're asking me.
If promoting is your scooch, if touching is your scooch, always be scooching.
What is my scooch? I don't know. I don't know. Watch more indie films, guys.
Hell
Yeah.
That's a scooch.
Support any creator out there that puts the time to put something out and share it and talk about it. And then a week later, do it again. And actually, I'm really good at like promoting other people's stuff. Go Google Josh Stifter. He makes amazing films, and you're already watching Thinking Art, but like, fuck, Wes and his crew, man, you guys make some really good stuff. I mean, you guys make great stuff. Like,
Thank you. I want to check out Josh Stifter.
Yeah. He's made at least a couple feature films. I'm not sure if the one is available yet. But yeah. There's so many indie filmmakers and creators out there, and even YouTubers and just podcasters. If you like their stuff, don't just listen to it and watch it. Like, subscribe, share, talk about it. It's so helpful to everybody. And without it, we don't have the resources to market ourselves and put thousands or tens of thousands of dollars into that. So
right, social media and friends, word of mouth goes a long way for us.
Yeah. And whatever you're doing, I can guarantee you it's probably not enough to help us out.
Yeah. But it's still appreciated.
No, that's the thing. Every little thing.
Yeah.
Every little thing you do is more than we deserve, and it's also way less than we need.
Yeah. It's the amount of appreciation that like I have when someone shares something of mine, especially if I don't know them or they weren't involved with it. It's like, holy crap, and there's always that one person or two people that's like constantly, no matter what, you haven't talked to them in like a month and they're still sharing your stuff and they're still like championing you. And it's like, holy crap, man, this person is just amazing. That it makes my day. That's it. That's what I have.
That's a good scooch to have.
And what a scooch. Producer Sam's scooch is the Twisted Cape podcast. You can watch every Tuesday. As he sent to me via message.
And he said Thursday, not Tuesday, you dumbass.
Thursday. That's what I said, you piece of shit.
Thanks, Andrew.
James,
Yes.
before we let you go,
Yes.
what's next?
What's next? Okay, so we are currently in pre-production and we're going to do casting soon on a feature film, The Old Man, which is
that's the movie title?
Yeah,
The Old Man?
The Old Man.
You sure it's not the old man who took a walk down by the pond and then found some stuff?
It's
pond?
It's totally not that. It's totally not that. It's 90% Blue Ruin, Jeremy Saulnier.
Oh
I'm
shit!
a big fan of Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah. Me too. And 10% Death Wish Part 3.
Ooh.
Which is way over the top exploitation.
Wait. Oh, never mind. I was thinking Tarantino's Death Proof.
Not Charles
I was
Bronson.
like, they made a second Death Proof?
No. Yeah,
They
Charles
made
Bronson.
3.
No, I think they made like 5 actually. But,
There's so many death wishes.
Yeah. And then they remade it with Bruce Willis. But so like I want a little bit of exploitation in there, but other than that, I don't want it to feel anything like exploitation for the most part. And it's completely different tone, just something different. I don't want to do just one kind of movie. I want to do whatever I want to do. And especially when if I'm funding it or if I'm attracting the funds, let's do it. So, and then we also, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say we also have a podcast where we interview indie filmmakers called the Film Hacks.
Plug it.
Yeah.
Which was with Chris Rupert, who was just on our show the last time.
Yeah, well, you can reach out to us on Twitter at hacks_film, or just we're on Spotify. We're on all the podcast platforms. The Film Hacks. We just interviewed the director of Juan of the Dead, and that was a great conversation. You've never seen Juan of the Dead?
No.
It's
check that out.
Have
Sounds
you
fun.
ever seen One Cut of the Dead?
I have. I love that movie.
Amazing.
Yes.
But have you ever seen Dawn of the Dead?
Oh yeah. Are you talking about the original or the remake?
I'm being just the
I
biggest
know.
asshole.
I know.
Both. Have you watched them both at the same time
No, I have
and
not.
compared for inaccuracies? Because holy shit,
I have not. No.
that's an evening. That is an evening.
Is it? No.
It's a weird one, but it's an evening. So do we have his trailer, I believe, right, for Fountaine and the
We do.
Vengeful that will not die?
You want to run the trailer?
And we're going to play the trailer.
All right,
Doing
let's
that?
do it.
Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun who just wouldn't die. I just threw in there.
So we're getting real crazy with his name.
Here we go.
In a godless hive of steel and concrete, swarming with crime, corrupt clergy,
Don't let the frog fool you.
and goddamn
I
Nazis,
cannot begin to tell you how wet that makes me.
it's up to one nun to make sure God's vengeance is done. Fountaine and the vengeful nun who would not die.
There you have it,
That's
folks.
the
Fountaine
trailer.
and the
James,
Vengeful
where
Nun
can
who wouldn't
everybody
die.
watch it at?
Oh, it's on Tubi streaming for free and on Amazon Prime for rent or purchase. And we'll have physical media second week of March. So
Nice.
you can also
Very
you can
exciting.
follow Monster Kid Productions on Facebook also. So yeah.
Give them a follow. Give the movie a watch. Support indie films, as James said. James, thank you so much for taking the time to
Thanks
chat
so much,
with us
guys.
tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Hope to have you on again sometime. We can talk about your next movie whenever.
That'd be
it's
awesome. Yeah.
The
that'd be awesome.
old man.
The
Yeah.
old man. Thanks everybody for popping it in. Really appreciate you taking your time to chat with us tonight. Not as big of a discussion in the chat tonight. I think it's because Danny Hux wasn't here.
The Huck Thruster gets it going.
Huck Thruster.
He is a madman.
But appreciated as always, guys. Andrew, any last words?
Oh, you know my last words, baby. Always be scooching.
Always be scooching. Thanks for joining us. If you like the video, smash the subscribe button. Purchase a t-shirt or something because we're poor. That's it. I don't know how to sign off.
I mean, buy a t-shirt. We're poor. There's never been a better sign off.
Everything's better with their
I like
name
it.
on it, folks.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. I guess poor is a bit of an under